Welcome to Barbie's Bitch House.
Today, I just thought of this TikTok where
Already ADHD. Just
I saw this TikTok the other day where it's like, everyone needs to release their steam. Everyone needs to scream. And they point at someone and they go like, ah! It's just the way we said it in unison made me think of that. So, in conclusion, we need to release our screams.
Just like Miss Fourth said.
I was going to say that! So, today's chapter is called Pershaw Place, which sounds like a place where pedophiles live. Stuff not to say in a podcast. Okay. So, last time Miss Forsyth got almost had a pimple in her vagina, a splinter in her vagina hole, and she came 7 times. So, now we're going to read chapter 5. Okay. Bill parked the van. This was a new delivery for him. He'd never even been to the street before, never mind any property on it. So it took him a little longer than he would have liked to find it. He's already on another fucking delivery.
Well, I mean, he's like a delivery driver, is he not?
He's gonna come another 55 times. The address was classic central London, tucked away behind a major road with only one way in or out. Kind of like Miss Forsyth's vagina. You miss it and you'd spend the next 40 minutes negotiating the one-way systems, and even then you ran the risk you'd never find it the second time around. Also Miss Forsyth's vagina. But Bill was a pro and pulled into the only parking space free that morning. It was obviously a trial order. A few bottles of wine, some cheese, and a pack of frozen oysters. Gross. Their best, in fact. So money was obviously not a problem. The delivery name was also interesting. Valerie Duchamp. Possibly French, Bill thought. There were a lot of them around these days. He smiled to himself. He should have been a detective, but it was probably no more interesting than his present employment and probably less rewarding. He marched up the stone steps leading to the bright red front door and knocked on the shiny bronze knocker. Rat-ta-tat-tat. Simple, he thought, feeling very official in his long green apron edged with gold. Nothing turns me on more than someone who looks like he works at Walmart.
Or Home Depot.
I'm like, oh, wow, that's hot. Anyways, after a few moments, a tall, beautiful, raven-haired lady with a slightly olive tinge to her exquisite skin opened the door. Can I help you, young man? Yes, madame. Harold says, can I help you?
Can I help you?
Can I help you, young man? Yes, madame. Harold's Emporium at your service. Oh! Yes, madame. Harold's Emporium at your service. My name is William. What? My name is William and I have your order. Bill. His name is Bill. Anyways.
Is his name William, but they call him Bill?
I was gonna say it'd be funny if his real name was Billiam. Bill waited for a reply and wondered why he called himself William. He never normally used the name. What the fuck? The groceries, I think. What? Thank you so much. Do you have the time to stack them? Why, of course, madame. All part of our superior levels of service. Valerie... I'm gonna have so much fun with this character, reading this bitch's voice. Valerie Duchamp smiled and beckoned Bill inside with a willowy finger. Now, let me see. Yes, the wine will have to go to the cellar. Follow me, please. Bill followed Madame Duchamp down the old stone steps into the cellar. It was poorly lit, as most cellars are, but then she pulled a switch and the area flooded with light. Bill shut his eyes for a second to balance the glare. As his eyes adjusted, Bill began to understand more about his new client than he had expected from a first visit. After all, it was only a trial delivery, his detective brain had told him a few minutes earlier. Why did his... Oh my god, I fucking hate, because some of his writing, he'll be like, oh, his brain told him that. And I'm like, no, he fucking told himself that. The brain is not its own character. Only toddler, his detective brain had told him a few minutes earlier. The place was fascinating. Chains and leather ties hung from the old beams. Leather blindfolds and other more sexually oriented items littered the open shelves. A 4-poster bed was center stage, but as the head height of the cellar was so low, its top had been cut off to fit the available space. It reminded him of the aristocracy who had been guillotined during the French Revolution. Wow, that's sexy. Bill inwardly shuddered. Whew, why do you always have such an active mind? Here's my cellar. Please lay the bottles flat in the eau de s'il vous plaît. I don't know what the fuck it is. Bill did as she requested and waited for his next instruction. William, is that your name? You did say it earlier? Yes, it is, madame. Bill bowed as if he was addressing royalty. There was something different about the woman he just couldn't place. Good now, William. She smiled at him and spread her arms wide. What do you think of my toys? Bill replied in an instant, shocking himself with his forwardness. Stunning, Madame Duchamp, stunning. Good. William, I am so pleased. Follow me. Madame Duchamp switched off the cellar lights and Bill followed her back up to the kitchen. She showed him where to put the cheese and then the oysters. Up her pussy. I'm kidding. I added that part in. William, I feel a trifle peckish.
Up her pussy.
Up her pussy. William, I feel a trifle peckish. Would you mind joining me in a few oysters if your schedule allowed you to do so? Bill's father had always been insistent on giving the customer good service. Linked to... What was that?
Sorry, my phone connected to the car.
That scared the fuck out of me. You're at Colin Kill being like, help. This gay guy's doing shitty accents. Bill's father... Why are you playing music? Why are you playing music? We're gonna get copyrighted.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, anyways, Bill's father had always been insistent on giving the customer... Valerie's gonna come in here and beat your ass if you do that again. If you do that shit again, I will pop you in the pussy. Ew!
What?
I said, and Valerie's voice was like, I'm gonna pop you in the pussy. Stop playing music!
No, I'm on Instagram.
Get off of Instagram and listen to the book.
No, look.
What the hell is this? Oh! God damn. Okay, back to the story. Bill's father had always been insistent on giving the customer good service. Linked to this was his insistence on never saying no. If a client wanted their shelves stacking, then you did it. If they wanted you to sample the wine you just delivered, then you did so. Bill was good at this, and it was one of the reasons why he was always the last... Hold on. Why he was always the last delivery driver back at the depot. Much to his chagrin and Beatrice's hidden delight. Beatrice fucking hates him.
It's a flip pierced.
Oh! It was also... Maddie just showed me a pierced clit, and I don't like it. It looked like a piece of, like, roast beef with, like, piercings in it. It was also the reason why Bill's father personally chose his routes each and every evening for dispatch the next working day.
So his father set him up.
I don't even know what I'm reading. I'm so distracted by you interrupting our podcast with loud fucking music. Bill's father personally chose the routes. You pretty much, Bill just wants his son to get fucked. I mean, Bill's dad wants his son to get fucked. And it's like a little creepy how involved he is in his son's sex life. I'm not gonna lie. Bill looked at Madame Duchamp. It was only 11:32 in the morning. He had time to sample... Wait, it's probably that time right now. Perfect timing. He had time to sample a few oysters. He'd be consolidating a new customer after all. Bill nodded his head and said, Yes, please, madame. Good, purred Madame Duchamp as she pulled the packet back out of the refrigerator where Bill had just placed it. In the drawing room, Madame Duchamp had already stretched out. Imagine her being stretched out like a cat. Stretched out on a chaise lounge. It's spelled like tongue, but with an L, but I think he means lounge. And requested Bill to serve her an oyster on a very long-handled silver spoon. Bill had been seated next to her and was in a good position to pass her the oysters from the large plate, as well as helping himself as and when he wanted. Let me show you how to eat the French aristocracy eat oysters, William. Bill nodded enthusiastically. He was always keen to learn new techniques. You never knew when you would get the opportunity to pass them on to other clients. Besides, Bill's father always said, Never be afraid to learn new things, son. Madame Duchamp removed the clasp from her long, beautiful raven-colored hair and let it fall down around her shoulders. Sorry, I'm imagining them having sex and she smells his dick after he literally just got done fucking that one bitch. And he's like, Your dick smells like fish, William.
It smells like wood.
It smells like wood and splinters. Remove the left fall around her shoulders. She then started to unbutton the top of her dress and very soon was exposing her ample cleavage. Bill coughed. He's like, Bill coughed and placed his hands on his lap. He could feel Bill Badger's cock moving. What? Wait. Bill coughed and placed his hands on his lap. He could feel Bill Badger's cock moving. Why is it written like that? He could, like, Bill's a different person besides him. Whatever. He could feel Bill Badger's cock moving, and he didn't want to embarrass Madame Duchamp or himself. She smiled at him, noting his discomfort, and kept unbuttoning. She's a predator. Within seconds, she had skillfully unbuttoned her dress. He spelled skillfully so bad. He spelled skill with one L. She stood up and removed it completely from her olive-colored, supine body. William, please remove my brassiere and then my thong. Bill swallowed. Madame Duchamp was a magnificent creature. He never expected to see her totally naked so soon, if ever. His father's voice kept resonating in his ears. The client is always right. Bill acquiesced. I don't know what the fuck that means. And removed her bra and thong. She quickly kicked off her high heels. Oh, God, Maddie! Okay, I'm gonna try and read this and not die. Bill acquiesced and removed her bra and thong. She quickly kicked off her high heels and grabbed Bill's hand, placing it on her smoldering vagina.
Smolder?
Makes me think of Flynn Rider, like her vagina's doing the Flynn Rider smolder. Being like... She lay back down on the chaise lounge. Put the oyster here, eat it, then lick me clean of its juices, William. Bill swallowed and removed his green apron. No sense in soiling it, he thought. She wants him to eat oysters out of her vagina, Maddie. What are you thinking right now? Are you shocked and traumatized?
You're
like, ew. With a certain sense of delicacy, Bill ladled the... With a certain sense of delicacy, Bill ladled the oyster onto Madame Duchamp's vagina.
Oh. No!
She only flinched momentarily, as the cold, salty juices mingled with her labia and sunk through to her clitoris. Bill bit down and ate the oyster from her body.
Acting like it just sucked that shit up and then he had to eat it out.
It's like... Her pussy was like... tasty. Bill bit down and ate the oyster from her body. And now he's sucking it out of her pussy. It tasted divine, he thought. The Isle de Noirmoutier never failed to impress. He then started to lick her vagina dry, as instructed. It was only seconds before he touched her clitoris, and Madame Duchamp orgasmed deeply. This is annoying. This does not happen. She exhaled and said through clenched teeth, William, encore, s'il vous plaît. Bill thought back to his school days, French, and reckoned he knew what she meant. He ladled another oyster onto her vagina and repeated the process. Her beautiful breasts heaved as she orgasmed, and her orgasmed and her nipples hardened as the salty juices from the oyster once again reached her clitoris. I'm just imagining she's gonna start popping like ping pong balls out of her pussy, like across the room, like. Bill couldn't help himself. He touched Madame Duchamp's tits with his fingers. Electricity flowed freely between the two of them. She opened her eyes and smiled at last. At last she'd found the one. Now all she had to do was entrap him. She's like a fucking evil succubus bitch, isn't she? Bill pulled into the depot 1 hour and 55 minutes late. The Home Depot. The fucking alarm clock, whatever the fuck, always goes off when we're recording in the car. It's so funny. Bill pulled into the depot 1 hour and 55 minutes late. His mind was in a whirlwind and for once he was pretty angry. Not only had he missed the fish and chips night at the Crooked Man with the gang, not the Crooked Man again. He'd have to do battle alone with Janice, who no doubt would want another fucking session with him. Wait, another fucking session or another fucking session? Life just wasn't fair. Poor Bill. He makes a lot of money and gets fucked all the time. Oh, his life sucks. Hold on. Life just wasn't fair, and Madame Duchamp wasn't just to blame. He was to blame as much as her. There was no reason to stop feeding her oysters. But Bill Badger's cock wanted an outing, and he had royally fucked her like it was her last day on Earth. He'd left the poor woman sobbing her heart out and promising he'd restock her oysters the next week. She's like, you ate all my oysters, Bill. To make matters worse, Beatrice had already gone to the pub with the others. It was obvious she didn't care about him. But again, it was his own fault, and he hadn't the heart to blame her. Oh, how he loved Beatrice. Surely she could snare him just like all the others. All the ones whom he didn't care two fucks about. Bill shook his head and made his way to the crooked man. Inside, all the chatter made him feel even worse. The gang had gone home to their lives, but here was Bill, still hungry. He ate like 85 oysters out of this bitch's vagina. How is he still hungry? He's still hungry. He ordered his fish and chips from the bar and sat down at one of the small high tables normally reserved for only 2 diners. He'd be so lucky, he thought. There'd be no chance of someone joining him that evening. He'd fucked up right royally. Janice served him and rolled her eyes as he squeezed the half-cut lemon over his piece of beautifully battered cod. "I'd love you to do that to me like it's not Bill," she whispered, adding, "and it would be great if you could lick it all off as well. I'll finish in half an hour, but I'm back for close-up at 1:30 a.m., so I've got time for you." Bill nodded. He couldn't say no to a customer. And Janice, the beautiful, seductive manageress of the Crooked Man, was a valued customer. What else could he do? Bill ate his fish and chips, drank his Kentish ale, and waited. What's funny to me is she's watching him squeeze a lemon over fish, and she's like, "I want you to fuck my pussy." Like, that is her first thought. Okay, that's the end of chapter 5. Chapter 6 is called Dinner. Dinner.
Is he ever gonna fuck Beatrice?
Fucking everyone but Beatrice. I just can't. I want Valerie to come back so I can do her voice again. I feel like if you have her and it's during your reading time, you probably won't do a voice. She'll just be like, "I'm Valerie," and then I'll have to take the book from you and do the voice for you. She's like, "William, put the oyster in my pussy."
Put the oyster in my pussy.
It's my pussy in my class.
It sounds like fucking Mario.
It's my pussy like a spicy meatball. Anyways, guys, bye. Oh.